This is a bit of an experimental video podcast episode because I want this to kind of be a live recording of a podcast while I'm playing my artwork, which I've been creating at the same time, and kind of, a bit of an update on where I'm at now. What I'm drawing here is the last double page of the Elijah and Crumpet Kids book. I'm doing the final editing on that stuff. And with these lives, I imagine sometimes I will be actually drawing on my phone, and other times it will be a playback like this. Because this is kind of a first one podcast recording, I thought, I'll play it as a recording, and then I'll kind of talk through what I was wanting to talk about, was how to treat your art like a business, because I think it's time to start being a bit serious about trying to, for me, probably for you, to try and turn it into a bit of a business and start making money from it, because I'd much rather be doing that than mowing lawns. I don't mind mowing lawns, but anyway, so the first thing, is income. And wherever I look and wherever I think and whenever I know about doing stuff for my artwork, I think the biggest problem is that we don't charge enough. And the reason I think why you don't charge enough is because I enjoy what I'm doing. You enjoy what you're doing. It's a fun thing, making art. So you feel guilty for charging for it. But I heard something interesting. It was another completely unrelated podcast episode about science, but it relates to art. It was all about the placebo effect. And there was some interesting stuff, and it's proven that the placebo effect works, by the way. Some people will have, they'll go in for knee surgery or something like that, and half of them they'll operate on and half of them they won't operate on. But the ones they don't operate on, they'll still do a little cut, and they'll tell everyone that they did the surgery. And it turns out that amazingly, most of the people that had the surgery, which wasn't a surgery at all, it was a placebo surgery, actually made a full recovery and said, oh, it's so much better now and all this kind of stuff. And there's also another thing as well, where they did tests on wine, and they did these kind of blind tastings. I think that's what you call it, blind tasting, where they had all this wine, cheap stuff, told people that it was really expensive, and then they actually thought it was really good. and there's this other thing as well of, like, if you, because we're in the science thing, like if you have a tablet that's a placebo, it'll have some effect. If something's injected into your body, it's considered, upping the stakes more. You'll be considered to, see more dramatic results. And if you have, like, a thing with a surgery, so it's like the more you up it, the more you think you're going to benefit from it, or the perceived value that people have on it. So basically, if you're charging $5 for your art, $20 for your art, people are going to just think, well, it's not very good art if it's if I'm not paying much for it. So basically, I think art is one of those things that, you're probably better off, because this was the thing back when I was running the cinema as well. I'd rather charge what it was worth and only have one show or sell one piece, rather than having to deal with doing lots and lots of pieces. So because that's more work, and that's what makes your life more hard and difficult, and time pressures and all this kind of stuff. But what I have as the next thing was is getting lots of revenue streams as well. So not only charging more, but having lots of revenue streams, thinking of what else you can do. I think a lot of the successful artists that I see out there have got Skillshare things, have got courses, they've got merch, they've got their art, they've got their prints from their art. They're doing live streams on Twitch, where people can donate money, or it's you basically, and that can happen on YouTube as well. it's basically trying to get as many of those things happening all at once. So then you can get lots of well, it's security, I suppose, and you're not more dependent on selling one piece of artwork each month or something like that. I don't know. And so revenue streams and content marketing plan, I think, is the next one. And an important thing with content marketing, I'm gonna have a sip of my coffee here. Because I've been struggling with working out the best content marketing plan, and I think it's, best to find the one that suits you, doesn't take away too much of your time. That's why I'm trying to do, like, if I can talk about a topic while I'm doing artwork in a live, have it kind of wrapped up in about half an hour, like whether I get my art completed or not, whether it's a time-lapse playback or whether it's me doing it live. And that way, that video can be a video on YouTube, it can be a podcast that goes out as well, it can be cut into clips which can be put in Instagram stories and TikTok. It's trying to be as economical with your time as possible by at the same time actually creating something that's valuable and worthwhile for people to spend their time watching. I don't know. This is a bit of a weird format there because I've got a few notes, and as podcasts, when I'm on a podcast, I'm normally driving along just riffing, but I'll glance down at my bullet points because I'm trying to make it a valuable thing. And also, yeah, in the content marketing thing, that thing about that Michael Worth mentioned in his last thing, like if you can be creating content and getting paid for creating that content at the same time, as well as getting paid for the art that you're making, that's a good double up. And the other thing as well, so like if you're documenting your process online, it's basically your business. It's looking through the window of your business. It's behind the scenes. So I think something which I've got to do is be more it's professional, punctual, that kind of thing, showing up kind of thing. So like if I've got a set schedule of lives, a set schedule of podcasts, I put my artwork up every day, stuff like that. I need to kind of stick to it. Like I do have kids, I do have my lawn mowing business, and all this other stuff as well. But one way to stay up to date with that is to maybe get a bit ahead of yourself so you know that you make those posting times. And that way, anyone who's watching your content who might be thinking about, hey, I want to get this guy to do some illustrations for me or whatever, they know that you're creating every day, even potentially if you're not creating every day. If you've got content coming out every day, it gives that feeling like you're showing up every day, you're putting in the effort, and I think that's really important, to be professional with your even though it's low budget, like I'm just on the phone, on the couch in the lounge room using cellular data. Who knows how much data this is going to use? Normally I'm on the library's Wi-Fi. But I'm doing a podcast at the same time, so that's cool. Consistency, yeah. And the other thing is, if you're working in some kind of field, like not art, if you're a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, you be constantly upgrading your skills and going to conferences, when there's not a global pandemic on, and all this kind of stuff, and kind of educating yourself. And I think it's important to do that as an artist, and I don't think it's a bad thing to do that online either, and show what you're learning and share what you're learning as well, because that will help others. It will show other people, potential clients, what kind of different drawing styles you can do, what learning, what you've learnt. So I think incorporating learning, and I think also taking yourself seriously, like, because the whole thing is like you've got to plan. If you've got a job, you've got your set times, you've got to show up and you've got to do stuff, and when it's art, you kind of do it in your free time. It's just kind of it's just it's just the way it's been. It's the way it feels. It's all, you don't. If you kind of feel a bit guilty if you could be out there mowing lawns, making money, and you're kind of home having fun creating artwork, and go, but it's still something that you can get paid for and maybe getting paid for. So I think you need to block in time and treat it and be, I don't know, it's hard when you've got kids and a job and a this and a that, and but even if it's a small amount of time, and block it in and schedule it in, I think that's what I need to do. These are all things, like I'm saying it to you, and I am saying it to you, but I'm also saying it to me, because these are all things that I think that I need to do. Coffee time. Don't know if anyone's going to show up on the live. It's just a quick one. I'm thinking I kind of try and want to go live every day. This is the worst one because this is the very first one I've done in this format. I'll need to look back on it and see how it goes as a podcast. It'd be great to get some people in the future and get a bit of interaction talking about stuff. But I just thought I'd churn out a quick one today while I had this pre-recorded stuff that I've been doing this morning. Finishing the last page of the Elijah and Crumpet Kids book. And in terms of taking it seriously as well, I think rather than meandering along and doing, I might do this, I might do that, and, because that's the way artists kind of like to roll, is create a business plan. Like, it doesn't have to be a big document. Like I did one, I had my traveling cinema business. I got a grant to start that 20 years ago. And it was a thick document. But I think if you did like a kind of a bullet point version of that with goals, kind of income estimates that you want to hit, and how are you gonna hit those income things? Like, look realistically at what you can sell, what you can do within the time frame of how many hours you've got in the day, and kind of work out what you need to be charging. And if you need to be charging a reasonable amount, then charge a reasonable amount, because you're probably doing another job like me. I'll still exist if I had no art at all. I'd go mad, I'd go insane, but I'd be able to exist on a financial level. So I think you need to kind of have that stability underneath you to allow you to charge right. Otherwise, churning out your art's going to be just like being in a sweatshop. And do you want to be in a sweatshop for your own artwork? I think the shine will wear off it after a while. And I'm actually sitting in a chair. I don't have like some weird spinal thing. But anyway, so I don't think you want to be a slave to your art. And if you're charging enough, you get a few sales come in, and then you're more likely to be able to, because people will value your art because you're charging enough for it. They can see you're putting in the time. They see you're putting in the study, you're learning, you're doing work on it every day, you're bettering yourself. You've got a community of people that you've drawn in around you and your work. And I think that kind of builds respect. And I think clients will come. That's what I'm hoping. I've already, had one client. Taken way too long to draw this book. I'm thinking what I should have done. I mean, in hindsight, it's easy, but it's like, I really love the storyboarding part. I really love the sketching and sketching out of the pages and the plan. And I'm thinking in the future, that's kind of a thing I'm going to focus on. The line work, the drawing, the aesthetic. It's kind of like, because my filmmaking background, it's like storyboarding, and you choose what's in the frame and what's out of a frame, and that's kind of the real exciting part. I do enjoy the colouring of it, but it takes so long. I'm going to get, because I've been illustrating on this. I mean, seriously, I've been illustrating on an iPhone 7. So I'm going to be getting an iPad. So in terms of taking yourself seriously, you do need to invest at some point in time. because this has probably slowed me up a hell of a lot because I'm drawing little lines and stuff like this with this pen, um, and um, and the other thing is if I can find someone who I can work with that is really talented, who can just work to my color palette and work from, like, now that I've got an actual book, if we're doing more Elijah and work with, and so, you know, I could potentially draw a book in a month, and if I've got one or even two people coloring it, one a month, sure, I'll be getting paid a lot less for it, but I'll be able to get a lot more of them out in a year, because I don't think taking this long to create a book, especially for someone else, is well, to start off with, it's not profitable, and second of all, it's not fair on the client either. So yeah, that's kind of my lessons learnt from you know, taking it seriously, looking at the big picture, working out what strengths are your strengths and playing to those, and getting extra people in to help if need be, stuff like that. But you know, this is the first kids book that I've been doing, so I'm learning as I go along. And the other thing as well with a business plan, I think, you know, it can't all be about money. I'm trying to, my whole thing is the whole fork in the road thing is like, you know, are you stuck in the road between starving and thriving artists, and how can I, as I'm creating artwork, help, like, because I want to become a thriving artist, and if I document my journey and I become a thriving artist, then that becomes, you know, the lessons that I've learned might become valuable for other people as well. So I'm hoping that's kind of my mission that people can do the creative work that they want to do, and they can live off that and do that as a job, if they want to. Some people don't mind their day jobs. I personally would be two compressed discs in my spine and mowing lawns every day is not exactly what I call a barrel of laughs, but that's what I want to get out of that. I want to be creative. I want to be creative every day. And that's why you need money, but it can't always be about money. So it has to be about providing value for other people, and I want to provide value for my clients or whatever who I draw for, illustrate for, and also for anybody any artists who I can help along the way in any way. It's kind of what drives me, kind of what excites me, and yeah, and I think kids books is something which I just connected with because my drawing style, I kind of draw like a kid anyway. I might evolve, who knows. I'm gonna, you know, do some courses once this book's done, and do some courses on face, you know, doing comic faces and doing comic style kind of people and things like that, because I can see where I'm lacking. I need to build up some skills and improve on that. So yeah, that's kind of my journey at present. That's kind of what I'm thinking I need to do. This is my list. This here is my list of, like, you know, how do I treat my art like a business, and it might help you in treating your art like a business. I'm kind of thinking that, sadly, marketing has to be about 50% of your time, and whether you can incorporate your marketing time into your creation time, like doing live streams like this, except I'm not actually drawing right now. I will be there in the future. I have done some in the past, sketchy lives where I'm doing it live, or even doing actual physical sketching. That's a good way of marketing and creating your work at the same time. And that's like what Michael Wolff was saying with Twitch. So if you could be doing that, you're creating content, you're making your art, and you're potentially getting some money in from your live streams on Twitch or whatever, that could be a really good thing. So yes, thank you everyone who's watching on the playback, because it's just a quick 20-minute thing. I didn't invite anyone. I didn't put it up on social. So yeah, but if you're watching the playback and you're not subscribed, please subscribe. That would be lovely. And yeah, thank you very much for checking out the video, and leave something in the comments if you will to let me know that you've been here. If you're listening on the podcast, come and check out my YouTube channel, Andy Marshall, and then I can hopefully chat with you live while I'm doing art or while I'm just reading out a podcast idea I've had, ponderings. Anyway, have an awesome creative day, people, and I will catch you next time.